Hi, it's Naomi here. Thanks for taking the time to watch my time-lapse video on how I painted my latest painting, The Pool of Manifestation. I'm going to show you the techniques that I used, how I created it, and this painting is a combination of the idea of the Empress card in Tarot and the Star card. So stay with me and watch how I've unfolded this now, and hopefully you'll enjoy this demonstration. And I'll talk a little bit more about some of the meanings and ideas that have gone into this painting as we go along. So stay watching. Okay, welcome back. Well, the first thing I've done on my piece is I've actually decided to work on the pool, and I've done this with a pouring technique. So you can see me pouring all the colours in the pool and around and trying to get the colours to flow, the patterns. And here's a little close-up of how the pour has looked after I've finished. Now I'm blocking in the colours for the Scarlet Ibis. The reason that they're scarlet is that they were regarded as very sacred in Egyptian mythology and related to the mind also in meditation. Now I've decided to soften the pour in the pool. I wasn't happy with it, it didn't look balanced, so I'm using a palette knife to blend it all through. But then again, I didn't like that, so I decided to have another pour over it again and try to get the pour to become a little bit more symmetrical and reflecting maybe the colours that I wanted a little closer. This painting is very much a trial and error process, because even though I had a reference which you can see in the screenshot there, it took on a life of its own in a lot of ways. So here's the pour again, and I'm much happier with how that's looked. Now I've decided to work with pour paints, the image or the idea of the Empress sitting in the pool of manifestation in a very loose way, using the pour and letting the colours flow and blend as well. So it's starting to look a little bit more about what I'm thinking, and I'm beginning to feel quite pleased with how the pool in the centre is taking shape. So now I'm starting to build up some tissue paper on the ibises themselves. Up until this point, everything has just been paint, but now I want to build up a more depth and 3D on the birds as they've got their wings extended over the pool. So it's almost like an aerial perspective looking down at them. So the black was just giving a bit of texture and depth underneath, but now I'm using a paper to build up the pattern of the white feathers and shape. Even though the birds are scarlet, I didn't want that colour dominating too much, so I've just used it as an undertone and then putting the white paper in strips over top of it to create the feeling of feathers and the feeling of flight. And actually in the paper itself there are lots of beautiful little birds that you can see just in this close-up shot, which I thought was really lovely and added to the texture and effect of the painting. So as we progressed along, now we've got the rock formation sitting at the base of the pool, which I've built up. And then on the beaks of the ibises, I'm actually building in some paper texture because it was just painted in very flat. So giving that a bit more 3D form as well. So, and then I've started to just whiten up or lift the paper. Now on the horizon line, I've started to build in layers of paper and collage pieces to build up the greenery and foliage in the background, the trees. And then I've moved back to the birds, and I'm painting in the red in their heads to suggest the scarlet ibises and building up a bit of detail there with the eyes and the beak and a little bit more focus. So the birds are taking more shape now, and I'm just working there and building up more texture and pattern, as you can see with my palette knife, and building in a little bit of pink around the wing tips and the edges. Then I've looked at the base of the picture where the rocks are, and I haven't quite liked the way it's sitting, so I've decided to build a few more curves and form into that, which are reflective of the wings of the bird too. It makes it a bit more symmetrical. So then we've gone back to the horizon line, and I'm building more paper and collage in there to build the scenery and the trees and the shrubs, as you can see happening. And then down on to the Empress at the pool. She's getting a few more details and additions with colour and pattern and shape there as I fill that in with some pour paints. It's a constant process of going back and forth and adjusting and fiddling and refining until you feel like you've got the right balance. Now that the bottom has dried, I'm starting to overlay the paper with paint to build up a bit more textures, tones and subtleties of colour and form with the rock. Utilising colours that blend with the picture already, I've put some gold and some turquoise and some browns and some purples as I've just applied. Now I'm drawing 5 streams, and those 5 streams are the streams of your personal consciousness that are coming out of the pool of manifestation. So I've started with a purple, then a deep turquoise tone. Now we're going back to the trees. I'm not happy with just how the rough paper is at this stage, so I started to build a bit of paint texture over it. So feeling a little bit happier about that, giving a bit more form. And now I'm going back over it with more paper to build in the background a series of cypress trees, because cypress trees are sacred to Venus in mythology. So I thought it'd be lovely to have those cypress trees sitting in the background of the design. So we come back down to the bottom of the painting, and now I'm working in a lighter blue, which reflects the Empress in the individual thought streams of consciousness coming out of the pool. And a few more little dots around in the actual pool itself to give that a little bit more continuity. And so now I've come back up to the trees, and I'm starting to build up a little bit more form in the cypress trees, giving them a little bit more structure and shape and line work and detail with my Gutta pens. And now I'm trying to also build a little bit of depth and pattern behind the trees, and just giving a little bit of edge to the wing tips down here on the bottom of the painting, and also filling in with some dots in copper to give a bit of texture. Now copper is also the metal associated with the planet Venus, so it's very important. In the star card, there are 7 planets, the 7 main chakras of the body, and one of them is the moon. So here I am placing the moon within a collage technique under the streams of personal consciousness. So we pop back up to the skyline, and then I wanted to make a little bit more focus of the cypress trees. So I've decided to actually collage 10 cypress trees on the horizon wingtips, even though we've got the suggestion of the trees behind. So here I am, I'm playing around with how I want to arrange these trees, and it took me quite a while before I settled on a pattern that I felt happy with and felt balanced in the painting as well. The reason I chose 10 is because there are 10 seraphs in the Tree of Life, and 10 is the number of manifestation or completion. So very apt with our pool of manifestation. So I thought that really added extra weight to the whole cypress trees. So above there, I have created a crown that is sitting above the Empress, and it's a cube, and also refers to the cube of space in Kabbalah. And so that's coming down, sitting above her. And then later on, I'm going to be applying some of the planets, more of the planets that are talked about in the star card. And here I am now actually starting to put the planets in. They're fairly subtle, and I deliberately did that because I didn't want to make them take away too much from the Empress in the center of the painting and the birds. That really is the main attraction. But our 7 planets, or our 7 esoteric chakras, are very important in how we're meditating and what's bringing about our manifestation. So I'm creating some design and pattern work in the planet forms that are sitting across the wingtips. And the Empress herself, she is actually one of the planets, being Venus. So we actually have the different planets sitting there, and Venus being number 7. And you'll see a heart-shaped copper sitting behind the beaks, and again to highlight the copper shield that the Empress actually has there. So I'm playing around with a few more little finishing touches and details to just refine things, adding another white colour into the streams, going back with a little bit more dots and finesse and colours and balance up in the trees now. So it's pretty much finished, so I'm just finishing off all these little bits and pieces that just tie it all together. So I hope you've enjoyed watching this little demo. I'm very pleased with how it's eventually turned out, but not without a lot of trial and error and hard work in actually, I guess, bringing about the manifestation of the pool of manifestation. Because some paintings take a life of their own and have to paint at their own pace, and it's not always clear initially when you start a piece how it will actually transpire. So that's part of the excitement and the journey as well. So I had to go over things a few times and clarify in my mind whether I really like this or not. And when you're not working necessarily from a clear reference photo, following along exactly, well then that is the process that it takes a lot of adjustment to feel happy with the final piece. But I am very happy with it, and I'm excited that it has the combination of the Star card and the Empress card. So thanks again for watching and taking the time to see a little bit more of my work, and please like and share, subscribe also, and leave me some comments and tell me what you think. Thanks very much for watching. Bye for now. Want to see more? Check out my website and Facebook links in the description below. Thanks very much for watching.